question. Ask Tom on Home Show Radio.
This is Home Show Radio live on Facebook and YouTube. Your questions, Tom's answers. Now here's Tom Tynan and Charlie Mosier.
And here we go, taking off the airplane. Strap in your seatbelts, sit back, put your table up, okay? And enjoy the next few minutes of Home Show Live with YouTube and Facebook. And
sorry, Maverick, the pattern is full.
You know why they have to put the tables up? People never understand that. If you go into a crash situation on a takeoff, it will trap people in. They won't be able to exit the seats very quickly. That's why you can't put your seat back either. So don't bother the poor flight attendant, because they don't want to have to repeat this 1,000 times. It has to be clear. Once you're up and flying, lay down, do whatever you want. There.
All right.
Okay. Yes. But besides that, we're going to answer your questions, and I do answer questions every Saturday and Sunday on Sports Radio 610 here in Houston, and of course you can podcast it, and you can stream it, you can do whatever you want with it. As far as that goes, at homeshowradio.com, and that's where we get these questions that we're going to be answering today with Charlie Mosier, my sidekick over there.
That's me.
Sorry. Yes, but I do not kick him.
I was distracted with we got a bunch of questions coming in here today, so we're gonna.
Oh, I thought you were playing with your buttons.
Those. No, but I see that Gretchen and Michael are watching. It's good to have you guys here with us, and Jack is with us, and Larry, a bunch of y'all. Thanks for being here today and being part of our fun fest. And you know who else is here? Oh, kids, get ready! He's the hero of American youth. There he is. Danny Miller.
Danny, you showed up. We were worried about you. Did you make it home on time?
Well, my power steering's out, so.
Oh.
We'll see. No.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is the mic working? Can you check one?
Do you mean that literally or figuratively, that your power?
Well, I was driving my old pickup truck that I finally got working, and it's not ideal.
Well, wait a minute. Now we get letters like this all the time. People say, "I had my roof fixed 3 times, but it still leaks." And you got your truck fixed, but the power steering doesn't work.
No, the problem, it's my fault. Oh, it's my fault.
Did you turn the steering wheel? Don't turn it. Oh, you're the fixer.
Yeah, it's my fault. Anyway, it's fine. I also didn't get I got a blue shirt on, so we all matched blue.
That's fantastic.
I like it.
Official Home Show Garden Pros.
We are on it. Shirt. All right, Bruce has checked in with us. I told Larry already, and Joso is here. Thank you guys for watching today. And by the way, Danny is on every Saturday from 7 to 9 with the Garden Pros. And big announcement coming on that show coming soon. But I'm not going to spoil the news. We're going to just kind of leave it right there for now.
Very fun.
All right.
Okay.
Danny, you stand by a minute. Tom and I are going to answer questions for a minute. Then we'll come back. We got a bunch of Garden Pro kind of questions to ask you. So hang on just a second. We're going to get to these. So let's get some of the questions, Tom, that we get from Home Show Radio from the Ask Tom box. First one to us comes from Sandra in Santa Fe. She said, I had our plumber snake out the pipes 2 times because of roots in the yard a month ago. Now when we flush the water, we hear a gurgle in the bathtub drain. What can I do to eliminate this? I've already put a call into a plumber, but so far no answer. What do you say? I'll bet there's no answer at the plumber.
Yeah, it's not an emergency right now. We still have a long list of emergencies to go through with the plumbing companies all over Texas, for that matter. It sounds to me like it's sucking air, which means there might be a little clog in your vent stack. And I'm not going to tell you to go up on your roof and stick a hose down there or a snake, but I have a feeling when they started pulling out all the roots and doing all that stuff, there's little debris at the connection where the vent stack comes down into the drain line behind there, and it's just wanting to pull water, and you hear the gurgling. But be careful, because it'll drain your P-traps, and you might get a little bad smell in the bathroom. But if it's working for right now, don't lose sleep over it. Don't worry about it. And I'm more concerned about why those roots got in your drain line, because that's going to be a bigger issue. And when everything settles down, if you want a plumber to come out and check that to make sure your vent stack is not clogged or has some debris in there, they can clean it out.
So, and that's pretty straightforward clean, if that's the case?
Yeah, it's not going to be a major thing. The roots getting in means you have holes and gaps and stuff that can be an ongoing issue that's not going to get better with age. It's not fine wine.
Mm-hmm. I got Kevin has just checked in, and Ricardo's here. And Ricardo, we got your question I'm going to have Danny answer that one because it's about compost and fertilization,
Yes.
all the things that get him lathered up. So we'll get to that. We'll get to that one here in just a minute. All right, Alma is our next one here. Question from the Ask Tom mailbox. It says, we're redoing our kitchen, new cabinets and floor. We're putting tile on the floor. Do we put the tile under the cabinets or up to the cabinets?
This is a great question. I just went through this in my laundry room where we had some cabinets put in, and the old floor got cut out where the cabinets go in because next time I want to replace the floor, I want to have a smooth transition. So the answer is you always do everything first. The floor covering goes in last for a lot of reasons. One is it details better against the cabinets and things of that nature. But most importantly, you don't have people walking around doing other work like your cabinetry and stuff when you have a brand new floor down. You don't want all those people on your new floor, and it's always best to do that at the end. When you build a house and you're ready to put the flooring in, the tile goes in first, and then the last floor that goes in would be the carpeting, and the wood would go somewhere in between there, so you transition out with the more durable floors and ones that make the biggest mess. So do it at the end. Do it up to the cabinets. The one place you will put tile is where the dishwasher goes. So the cabinet builders will plan that for the thickness of the tile so your dishwasher will slide in and out. And you don't have to worry about balancing it too much if the tile goes up at least under there about 6 to 8 inches. So that makes a nice transition with your appliance.
Makes for, I was going to say, because that's one of the few places you're going to see underneath there when you open up your dishwasher.
Yeah, but you don't have to do all the way in real neat, although you can, but at least about 6 inches to a foot back, so it looks like it's a nice transition.
Yeah, we had some plumbing work done, and they had to pull the toilet in the guest bath, and we found out when they repainted the bathroom where they didn't paint it. So it's one of those things you don't see back there. So, and
if you tile up to the dishwasher, when you come to replace it, you have to tear the tile out. So, and especially if you're going to Saltillo tile and stuff. So always the cabinet maker should know to plan for the dishwasher. That's why you have to buy those first. It's called the rough opening. Anytime you're building a house, the first thing we ask our clients to do is pick out their appliances. So by the time we get to build the cabinets, we know every appliance and the rough opening for those appliances, so they go in the cabinets without any major reconstruction.
And I read the other day that stainless steel is out. The designers saying stainless steel. Remember when everybody wanted stainless steel everywhere in the kitchen?
Yes, but you know what? It's dirty. I don't like the way it looks. I've never been a fan. I've never been one to follow the crowd, so to speak. So we'll see what the next trend is. Maybe we'll go back to white and almond again. I don't know. I have white in my kitchen. It always looks clean when you clean it up, and that's important to me.
I'm holding out for avocado. I think it's coming back. I told Sandy
I grew up in avocado,
counters.
So it would take me back to Fort Worth when I was a little kid. Look good.
Hey, I got a bunch of folk coming in here today. Bruce is here, Kevin, Robert, Alton, Danny, Jason, Gretchen, Sharon. Thank you for being here today. I was told to welcome people, Tom, so that's why I'm doing this. So,
did you want Sandra there? No Sanders?
No Sandra here. No Sandy either. My poor Sandy's in bed. She got a little tummy thing going on. No, she doesn't have a temperature. It's not that. So
you. Okay, tummy things are just you. I get them too. No fun.
Right. Hey, since we're on the subject of avocados, I say, executive decision, we're going to shift gears and bring Danny in and start talking avocados. No, we're not. We'll talk about.
Well, Danny eats avocados, don't you, Danny?
I love avocados. Growing them, eating them.
You know, it's funny, Danny. You and I are both vegetarians, right? Are you still? Are you still not a non-meat eater? Me too. But you know one thing I can't stand. Then we'll go on to the questions. I hate avocados. They're too mushy. I can't handle it, and I'm supposed to love them like everybody else.
Nice. I hate it as a vegetarian when people say, "What's on the menu?" and then, they're like, "Oh, you can have a salad."
Yeah, I hear that a lot too.
Yeah, and the smart friends are saying, yeah, have the steak salad. I'll take that off for you.
Yeah, just get the steak on the side. Yeah, I'll get the bacon on the side. Yeah, that's the smart move.
That's it.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, we got some questions that came in here from the folks watching. Ricardo sent one in here for you just now, and he
Nice.
says, "What fertilizer do you recommend for St. Augustine, Danny?"
The big one I like using is by Microlife. It's called the Brown Patch, and I like using it all year long, even if I don't have Brown Patch, because it inoculates with these important bacteria that are not only nitrogen rich, but actually will improve the health of the grass, and you'll prevent disease all year long. So big fan of that stuff. I would just start it right now and every other month with the Microlife Brown Patch. That's what I like doing.
Perfect. Okay.
I like having Danny on the show. I'm taking notes, man. I love this. This is great.
I love it too.
I did not know that. That's awesome.
We got so much positive feedback from Danny being on the show that we're gonna have Danny back regularly. Danny's just hearing about this now, but
It's great. I
Nice,
love it.
Danny. Get
But he
used to
looks
it.
so-
That's the way he treats me too.
wait,
By the way,
good.
you're walking to the moon tomorrow. Did you know that? We're having a home show on the moon. Okay.
and you'll love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the oxygen.
All right. We got a
Figure out
question.
how to grow avocados there.
All right. Here's another one for you, Danny. This one comes from Richard in Humble. He says, my yard has several big pine trees and some oak trees, and roots have grown above the ground, which is a problem when mowing because the mower blades hit the roots. I'm thinking about renting a stump grinder and grinding them down to a level to make it easier mowing. Is this a good idea, or is there something else you'd suggest?
I'll just start real quick. That's a bad idea. That's a super terrible idea, actually, Richard. So the thing that's happening is your roots aren't coming up, the soil's going away. And so what you want to do is get a little compost, kind of pack it in around the sides of the root, make some ramps for your mower. If you consider a big pine tree, maybe is $6,000, a big oak tree, maybe $25,000. That's the value of the tree. Your patch of lawn, $800, something like that. Like not very much at all. And so convenience of mowing, really you should not do that and just cover it with some compost, make your ramp. If you really have to take a root out, that's more of a surgery, not a cheese grater approach. And so you would take a part of the root out and just remove it completely. You wouldn't, attack it. Hope that helps.
I love the way you said that. That's a super bad idea.
It's just,
It is.
I mean, if you want to kill your trees and invite lots of disease will get into the roots that way.
That's
so
a program.
imagine, it's the difference between a small cut and a bad abrasion is, you're almost guaranteed an infection. So Richard's almost guaranteed an infection if he does that.
Ricardo,
Hey, Danny, you're going to have to raise your prices. The price of lumber has quadrupled in the construction industry. So that $25,000 tree now is worth $75,000.
Well, there
Just
you
so
go.
know, if we're going to make
Okay,
tables out of it.
Hey, Ricardo wanted to know, by the way, he asked earlier, he says to know, mushroom compost, aerate, lawn, and fertilize. What order should he do that in, Danny?
I'm putting down the compost. I'm skipping the aeration, and then I'm fertilizing about 2 weeks later after the compost.
Oh, easy peasy. I didn't realize that shorter question. All right.
Well,
Got
so
another
if
one.
you think about aeration, it's all about getting air and kind of tilth
Right.
into the soil. Nothing does that better than compost. All those little microbes, they do all the aerating you need to do. So, Ricardo, don't spend the time.
So you're saying don't even aerate, just put the compost
Don't
down, let it do
aerate.
it. Okay.
Yeah, and it'll do it. And then earthworms will come to eat those little bacteria, and that'll
in
make
a straight line, like that.
Yeah,
Bill?
just Pac-Man earthworms. I like that.
in theory, maybe.
No, it just
anything's
shows how old I
possible.
am. Okay.
All right.
Pac-Man
Next question. Hey, hang on a second. By the way, hang on, I'm looking to see if I got another one here for you that's down here. That the sheetrock, nope. Oh, here it is. Shirley has a question for you. It says right here, I got a bunch of them here. I have a thornless key lime in a large pot. It was full of blooms, then froze. Does it stand a chance, Danny?
No, I'm sorry, Shirley. Those are your least cold hardy citrus, the key limes are. And if it was in a pot, then it's already less cold hardy by being in the pot. So if you couldn't get it inside, then prognosis negative on that one. Sorry.
Hey, Danny, she shouldn't feel bad. Those limes, like you say, are tough. I lost all 9 of my citrus. We came to a conclusion today. They're dead. I've got someone coming digging them all out, and I got some big ones. Lemons, grapefruits. I got to redo the whole thing.
We lost every one of ours. Yeah, we lost every one of ours
rough.
except as Sandy would say, that blank damn grapefruit tree. That one made it.
Yeah, exactly.
The one she wanted to die.
Maybe there's something there.
Yeah, there is. Maybe God is working in her. All right.
Yeah.
Ray in a Tuskegee has a question for you. He says, what type of fertilizer are you recommending now that the freeze is over? I have brown and green Augustine mixed with a little dollarweed.
Yeah, I guess brown Augustine is just not living. Is that like a type I don't know about? Easy question. Easy question here is I love the Brown Patch Microlife. It's lawn fertilizer Microlife 513, but it's inoculated with a bunch of different microbes that actually will outcompete any disease problems you got. It could be rust, it could be brown patch, it could be kill-all patch. It'll stop that, and because it's adding all that kind of microbial nutrition to it, you'll have a longer run with the health. So Microlife Brown Patch is my go-to for the lawns.
Hey, Jibby John, who's a longtime participant on our show, says, I have a lemon tree in a big pot that's broken. Can I safely transplant it into another pot? And if so, should I add supplement? I have a ton of blooms, but this tree only gets me, the last 5, max 3 years. I mean, let me read that again.
Broken,
I have a ton.
really
He says, I have a ton of blooms, but this tree only gets me 5 max for the last 3 years. I guess he's saying the lemon tree does.
And I guess he
5
means
lemons.
the pot's broken. Because it sounds kind of like
pot's
the tree's broken.
He got
if it's not
5
making
lemons.
fruit.
Right.
Well, if he's only getting 5 lemons, maybe the tree's broken. No, I'm just kidding. So, absolutely.
Does he just reboot that? Is that what he does there? Is there
maybe just
I got to go
control alt
Dr.
delete.
Phil.
is there a service upgrade available for that? Or?
There's a logo. You got to right-click the logo, and then
Right-click the
No,
lemon,
so
right.
absolutely, you can repot that. No big deal. If the pot's already broken, the best thing to do is to break it all the way, and then you can just move the tree real easily into a bigger pot. You always want to go up when you're doing that. And I would put a lot of alfalfa meal in there. And then if you go to Monterey Lawn and Garden's website, they have a little thing you can hang in the tree that's a honeybee attractant. And it'll actually pull pollinators into the area of that tree. So if you have a lot of blooms on it, maybe you're just missing the bees. And you can pull that in with that Monterey Lawn and Garden honeybee attractant. That'll help out. Plus, you can always plant flowers down by the base. Some of the flowers that bees love the most, lantana, salvias, things like that they're going to be all over. Alyssum. So that's maybe that's your problem with the not getting very many fruit.
Now, if you're wondering, you've just joined us here, and you say, "Golly, there's a lot of gardening on the show today." Well,
yeah,
there are 2 questions we're getting: plumbing and gardening. and so
we got the pipes covered for the last month.
Yeah, we got that handled. So
I'm just listening. I love it because my gardening is number 1 right now. Everything is dead. I'm hiring people to yank everything out, and I'm deciding how I'm going to replant. Yeah. So Danny, you're welcome to stay on. I'm listening.
And by the way, if you like what you hear, Danny is on every Saturday morning from 7 to 9 with the Home Show Garden Pros. They have lots of useful help, and we're actually simulcasting out onto the Garden Pros Facebook page. So for those of you going, well, duh, yeah. The rest of the audience is maybe learning about the Garden Pros for the first time, and that's where to find them. So,
well, I think we answered a big question for our normal listeners, and that's, does he ever wear a different shirt than the green one? And from time to time, I'll go the company blue.
All right, there it is.
Apparently, I don't have another shirt.
No, nor do I. So here's one from Michael came to us. He says, following the freeze, how long should I wait prior to removing or replacing seemingly dead shrubs and bushes? And also, what about 35-foot palm trees? The dead branches have been trimmed. I'm thinking the answer for those palm trees is not a good one, Danny.
Well, the palm trees are actually probably the most hopeful one. All those bushes and stuff that you're waiting on, you can stop waiting. With the warm weather we had right after the freeze up till now, we can pretty much see what's coming back or not. Plus, since it was a 70-year cold, all of our plants that are hardy down to 18, 17, those are all gone. And so if it's not showing a lot of signs and you really want to move forward, fully blessed to start taking stuff out. The palm tree, if it's a queen palm, which is one of the only ones that gets that tall, there's a really good chance that it stayed alive. And that if you're not seeing a bunch of leaky gaps or rotting spots on the side, then the heart on the inside may have stayed intact. And so the big thing that can happen way up at the crown is that it can wrap itself too tightly and strangle itself. And so if that's the case, you really want to get an arborist to get up there and slice, kind of do some surgery. It won't cost you very much. Again, $6,000 tree, $200 labor. You want to do that. So that's my best advice with that tree. But that's a lot of trees. They live through the cold, but then they die from the strangling, which is usually deadly, stranglings.
You have the old Rodney Dangerfield joke about, I told
Can't get no respect?
No, the one where the doctor says, listen, you're fat. And he says, can I get a second opinion? He says, yeah, you're ugly too. Well, it's like you came by and pronounced our tree in front of the office here, DED. And Peter Nelson came by and told me it's ugly too. So.
Okay, well, teamwork.
All right, there you go. All right, let's get, got one more here for you in our mailbag, and that's from Michael. He says, I have some yard beautification issues at my new home that was built in 2020. Yeah, we have a dip in the backyard, and he sent a picture of it here that accumulates water during rainy days, and the yard itself is not a real great quality, and he's wondering, what would be your solution for this problem, Danny?
Well, that, you can see just how new a development that is. So I wouldn't really say your problem is a yard dip because you got a hill right behind it. Water's not flowing through your soil. So it's a compaction problem. New builds, new developments often have compacted soil. Easy solution is Humates Plus for Microlife or compost top dressing. And so if you're looking for the perfect solution, compost top dressing is the way to go. But an easier solution that'll help that soil open up, water to drain through the soil, which is what soil is designed to do. Humates Plus is a great spreadable thing to put out there.
Oh, cool. Well, I'm telling you what, my wife always looks on the sunny. Sandy, she always looks on the sunny side of everything, and she went out and found these tulip trees, these yellow tulip trees, and they now adorn the backyard, and they're so pretty that Sherry, one of our home show garden pros, commented on her Facebook page saying, "Oh man, I wanted to get those." So I guess that's the opportunity in all this right now is, time to possibly reimagine your backyard and all the landscaping. Yeah,
like you mentioned, Sandy was saying, she doesn't love that grapefruit that lived. And so a lot of people had 5 lemon trees. Well, they're eating enough lemons for half of one tree. So it's time to bring in some other stuff. Get what you really like. That's what I'm doing. Satsuma's everywhere.
What's your advice to people when they're buying plants and stuff right now? We're always careful to buy the stuff that's hardy down to so many degrees. There's no point in buying things even more freeze resistant at this point, is it, Danny? We're not going to get a freeze like that. What's the probability of that, right?
We're zone 9, and to me, I like shopping at responsible sellers because they're going to stock plants that survive and thrive in our space. And that's the best advice I can give when you think about buying plants is you can do a lot of research. You can Google all you want. But the great thing, you mentioned Sherry at Plants for All Seasons. All of our co-op members, these are folks that have done all that research and are going to sell you plants that do that. And so you go to some of these big box stores or big plant stores, and they're not worrying about that. They're not really saying, okay, well, we want to make sure we're sensitive to the Houston market. I don't think we're going to hit another 70-degree freeze next year, but, we seem to be having historical events happening left and right, and they're not really the good kind. And so, maybe you do plan for things that are going to be a little bit hardier. But if you love growing mangoes, grow mangoes. And that's when it comes down to is you're gardening for the joy of it. You're gardening for your own pleasure, and so don't hold back because this one setback. So
right.
That's my big advice. Is we're in zone 9. We can do zone 10 plants. Those are tropicals, and then we can go down to zone 7, which is a lot of our prairie plants and eastern seaboard plants. So got a lot of options, and I would not overreact to this. I do remember, Charlie, back in the drought in 2011, man, everybody was like, drought tolerant plants, water smart plants, it's never going to rain again. And then Harvey happened, and everybody's like, we need flood tolerant plants. So just keep in mind that.
What taught me about that is Elmer Dutton at Due West Foundation Repair. He talked about how, it goes back and forth. We go through this cycle about every 5 to 7 years. It goes back and forth, drought to flood to drought to flood. And it's just, that's the way it works. And everybody freaks out like it's, it's the end times. And it's a cycle. What does Joni Mitchell say? All the world's a circle or something? Playing the circle game. That's obscure folk rock reference for you there. So. Well, Danny, thank you for being here.
Absolutely. I always love seeing you guys.
By the way, I just want to say something. You left somebody out because we have a garden pro as well, and that's David up at RCW, up there on 249. Nice. And David has, Tom went in there the other day, and he says that apparently word had escaped that Tom was coming because the place was packed.
Yeah, nothing to do with me. People ignored me. They were shopping. Everybody's shopping
RCW
right
is
now.
awesome.
Plants.
Sandy visited 3 different nurseries the other day, and she came home and said it was on Monday, and she says it was like Saturday.
Yeah.
So
it's wild.
Yeah, everybody wants to get in there as soon as the trucks arrive. So anyway, Danny, thank you so much for taking some time. Really appreciate you sharing it and helping everybody out. Tom's doing the stuff inside and around, and we appreciate your help with the grounds. If you like what you heard, you want to hear more, you can tune in Saturday morning, 7 to 9 on Sports Radio 610. That's where you find Danny. And if you didn't, just keep it to yourself. Okay. Danny, thanks a lot for being here.
Thanks, Danny.
You guys.
All right. Bye-bye, guys.
All right. Bye. Bye, Tom. Bye, Charlie.
All right. So there you go. Danny's got.
I'm totally depressed now.
Yeah.
Totally depressed.
I think
because even Danny lost his fruit. He lost his fruit tree too.
Yeah.
All my trees, I'm gonna cut them down. I just decided when it's dead, it's dead. You can't bring it back. I thought maybe he had some miracle.
That's what Bill Zach used to say. He said, "Yeah, he's on dead." So
I swear, I was leaving hope through this conversation, and then when this conversation sealed the coffin for me, I'm going to tell my gardening guy, don't try to clip them, tear them out. And that's what we're going to do.
It's like that Monty Python thing, from, was it Holy Grail or Life of Brian? Bring out your dead. I mean, that's the way our curbs have looked in our neighborhood, just piles and piles of stuff. So,
yes, or the vicious bunny. I like that part too. Right. Run away! Now,
while we were chatting all over here, we just got a whole truckload of questions and stuff that came in. Got one here from Jack that came in and said, "Oh man, let me get that logo out of the way. It's in the way here." He says he loves our elevator music. He says, "What can I put on unused pressure-treated pine pickets that were sitting in my garage for 3.5 months? I'm using to build a raised garden bed and want it to last."
You don't do anything. Put it down. That's why landscape timbers are pressure-treated. It's nothing you have to do to make it last. You're looking at 20 plus years as it is. Anything you put on there will just end up weathering away before you ever get more longevity out of 20 years unless you put it on every 3-4 years. Don't bother. It's going to last 20 plus years. It's just the way pressure treated lumber is. It's not going to poison the ground or anything. So use it as is. And believe me, if you went to buy it today, it would be 4 times more expensive. So enjoy. You didn't have to buy it.
All right. Richard says his son is 29. He's interested in a career in, I got to change the size of this thing, in plumbing. What's the process? Yes. Should he start now? We helped his older brother repipe his house with PEX, and he really enjoyed the process. So I'm trying to think, geez, now if only there were a program somewhere for that.
Well, and the thing to do to start, really, if you want to be a plumber, if it's in the state of Texas, I'm going to assume this person is. Sometimes we have people outside of the state. Right. But the state of Texas regulates the plumbing industry. And the first thing you do is you do it online. You don't need any experience, no hours of work, nothing, is you register with the state of Texas at the TDLR, which is a Texas Department of Licensing something, but it's a TDLR, and pay your money. They'll do the background check, and you become a licensed apprentice plumber. Now you can go into the trades through just working for a master plumber and start getting your hours so you can work towards your journeyman's license. You don't have to have any formal training. You can get into apprenticeship programs. I happen to have one down in Brownsville. I'm sure you're not living there, but there are apprenticeship programs through a lot of the community colleges or a lot of businesses that you go on to work with as a helper. They will have an apprenticeship program you can go through, and they will send you through like a 4-year program as well as you'll be working for them also. Or, you can go with the unions and start as an apprenticeship plumber and get into the brotherhoods and things of that nature. But the number one thing to do is register as an apprentice plumber with the state of Texas if you're in Texas.
All right. Very important question comes from David. Tom, he says, a week and a half ago you mentioned your favorite sandwich with cucumbers and cheddar. Can you please share that again? What was that, Tom? Apparently, I didn't know it was cooking with in the kitchen with Tom on Saturdays.
I don't know, Charlie. I must have been filling to do something. Anyway, I'm a vegetarian now. Danny and I talked about it earlier. One of my favorite sandwiches is kale, cucumber, tomatoes with cheddar cheese, brown spicy mustard on Dave's bread. That's a lunch for me on usually 5 days a week. I just enjoy it very much. I'm sorry, Charlie. I do.
When I'm driving my Expedition, I come up to a light next to a Prius. I always want to roll down the window and say thank you, because I need the gas. And I feel the same way about vegetarians. Every time I see a vegetarian, I want to say thank you because I can't get enough steak. So.
Yeah, and it makes me sick. So what are you going to do?
We're going to ask another question. This one comes from Jesse. Hey,
I'm not going to eat something that makes me sick.
Jesse says, I'm going to paint my wood front door. It's protected from the rain, but doesn't get sunlight. What kind of primer is best, and what sort of paint is best, Tom? And besides cleaning, is there any other prep work he needs to do?
You want to make it clean. You're going to paint it. You always use an exterior paint and a latex paint, which is a water base. You never use an oil-based paint on the outside. It has vegetable oils in there. It'll turn black over time with mold. It'll just be nasty. So that's a little opposite on woodwork than you do on the inside. And the inside, we still use oil-based paints with a lacquer undercoat for all the trim and doors and stuff, but it's not outside exposed to the weather. It's in a conditioned space. So an exterior trim paint is what you're looking for. You can go to any paint store. You can get semi-gloss. You can get eggshell. You can even get a high gloss if you want. The only thing you want to make sure of the sheen of it, the more glossy it is, the more the imperfections show. So if you go to an eggshell, which is the most common for the exterior, you'll see less imperfections. Semi-gloss gives you a little bit of a sheen. The high gloss, you got to be careful with big areas like doors. It's better for small trim because you don't have a lot of surface in one spot, so the imperfections don't show up as much. But that's what you're looking for. It's very simple. It's an exterior paint job. Some of them require a primer, depending what you're painting. And here's the key when you go to a paint store. You say, okay, I have a door. It's stained. It's painted. It's raw wood. Whatever the case, it's aluminum. It's steel. And you say, and this is what I want to do. I want to paint it. Then they'll recommend a paint. Then they'll recommend the primer that goes with the application on what you're putting it on, whether it's raw wood or, say, a metal, because metal paints are a little bit different. They're direct metals if you don't have a finish on it. So they have a specification sheet, and that's the whole idea about going to a paint store. You don't get one size primer fits all and then, just get a paint of some other brand. The paint brand should be both primer and finish coat, and they should be compatible, and they should match on the spec sheet for the application you're doing. It's not difficult. The paint companies have done all the work for you. Go to a Sherwin-Williams store. Go to a Benjamin Moore store. Tell them what you're doing. Just don't go in the morning or at lunchtime because you'll be waiting in line with all the painters. Go in between those two times and you're good.
That's true. You go in between, the painters are out working.
I know, but at lunchtime they're filling it up. And morning
we have house painters, and both are genome, I believe. I know my grandfather was one.
My uncle was a union painter in Connecticut.
Yeah.
So,
and
my grandfather too, but he was not union.
Most important part of painting is starting the job, because once you start, you can't hire somebody else.
Oh
All
God,
right.
I'm not going down that road because
All right,
there's too
hey.
many that do that.
Hey, Mike's a longtime listener, regular. And by the way,
Yes.
hi to Christian and Kelly and Greg and David and Latanya and Raymond and Gretchen. Thank you all for joining us here today on the show. Let's see. Mike asks, I have a house that has been gutted in the kitchen up to 2 feet off sheetrock. The rest of the house, no floor and cabinets. Is there a checklist you recommend on what to do before the other? Sheetrock first, cabinets second, blah, blah, blah. What say you, Tom?
Well, you're going to put your walls together, so if you have to re-sheetrock it, do it. If you had to change your insulation in the walls, if it's an exterior wall, go ahead and make sure that's done too. If it was because of a pipe broke and you put new pipes in, make sure they're insulated. Hopefully you did all that. That's kind of common sense, and put your sheetrock up. Cabinets will go in after that, and then your painters come in and do all the painting and things. So unless it's a prefab cabinet, then have your painters come in first, and then the prefab people that have the finish on the cabinets already, they'll come in and install the cabinets. So you have site-built cabinets, and you have cabinets that come from a place that's all pre-finished and stuff. That's the only thing you're going to have to kind of take it, look for it and make sure you get it done right. Then you put all your appliances, your countertops, not necessarily in that order, but they all go in. And the floor covering is always the last thing that goes in, because you don't want a lot of people walking around on that while they're doing cabinets and painting. So the sheetrock, painters, cabinets, if it's a painted in place cabinet, the cabinets go in, then the painters come in, and then you just detail the whole thing out, and floor covering last.
Wow. I'm ready to go. All right. We're actually going through that right now. And so I'm like, yep, that's the order. That's the order it's going in. All right. Here's Shirley. She says,
Okay,
no, hang on.
good.
No, we already gave Shirley the bad news. That's not what we're looking for. Sorry, Shirley, but sorry about that
Limes
key
are
lime.
tough. I lost mine too.
Yeah. I keep my key limes in the freezer with a nice graham cracker crust. And Heidi has our next question. Thank you for your show. What's the best way for a 900 square foot hip roof ventilation that has space for just 20 inches of ridge vent, has 14 soffit vents, a 16 by 6 passive vent? How many should I have? What about a power vent for that, Tom?
I don't think a power vent would be necessary, especially in such a small crawl space, because it's just going to disturb, because there's so much air movement going through there too fast. Stick with a passive system. The ridge vent, soffit vents is a start. I would add 2 air hawks, one on either end of the ridge vent, and that should give you sufficient exhaust. Because it's such a low sloped roof, you have very little volume of air in there. All you want is a very slow movement. It's not an air conditioning system. It's not where you go up there and you can sleep comfortably. All you're doing is slowly moving air so it reduces the moisture in there so your insulation stays dry. And that would be for really hot, humid climates is what you're looking at. And most of the people that listen to our show are somewhere in a hot, humid climate. And so that's all your ventilation is doing. Don't go crazy on it. Soffit vents, your 20 inches of ridge vent, a square slant vac. Some people call them air hawks on either end of the ridge vent, and I think you're fine.
All right. Got another one for you here from David. He writes in to us, something to pass on regarding water heaters on vacation. He says his 40-gallon Ream at the lake is 36 years old. We never turn it off when we're gone, and even if we turn it off and drain the pipes. Tom made a great point about bacteria growing in them, so he supports you on that one, Tom. But then he asks, what are the refrigerant replacements for old Freon? My AC guy said there's no reason to completely replace an old system just because there is a leak that can be fixed. What's your stand
Absolutely.
on that?
I still have R22 in my 3 units at my house. I have one in my garage, one upstairs, one downstairs here where I'm doing my show. In fact, I just replaced a condensing unit, I think it was about 2.5 years ago, on my 22-year-old unit. And it's a R22. It's a dry system that I bought, and then we had to charge it up. But R22 is very plentiful. You don't hear it even talked about much anymore because it was a selling point for a lot of air conditioning contractors to switch out. But there's so much of it, the price is not outrageous. Some contractors are still trying to say, hey, it's $700 a pound. I heard that on my show a couple weekends ago, and it kind of freaked me out. It's not. And so go ahead and stick with R22, especially if you can fix the leak. In fact, if there's R22 in there and it's somewhat running, they can reclaim that. It can be, and there's a lot of recycled R22. They reclaim it, they recycle it, and you use it again. So it's not a big deal at all. And if they're going to reclaim it and it can be used again, it's not a problem. If the the leak can be fixed. If it can't be fixed, you might have to buy some more equipment. But again, if it's an evaporator coil, you still don't have to change from R22. You don't have to go to a 410. And quite frankly, down the road, the 410 is going to be phased out, and it's going to another one that's going to have a propane base in there. So that's all in the works. It'll take about another 10 years. So don't get caught up in this refrigerant thing, because it's always going to be very fluid. I hate to say that, but it's going to be changing all the time.
That's a real gas.
Yeah, there you go. It is a gas.
It's, I think, and a fluid. So
It is a fluid.
that's right.
Depends if it's cold or hot, but we won't go there.
I explained this. After working next to you for 34 years or something like that, I understand enough about air conditioning to be dangerous. And I explained to some kids one day about how it works with the gas, goes from liquid to gaseous, and it takes the heat out, and how they discovered that by accident. So anyway, Louis Carrier, when
I'm sure they were fascinated.
They were. As soon as I was done, like, what's for dessert? So
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like when
I
I-
raise kids. I know.
I only the only time it's satisfying is at church. When I finish a reading, they stand up and sing. So
Yeah, but they have to. That's part of what they have to do.
all right.
Yes. Time to kneel. Time to stand. Time to turn around. It's
Up,
kind of
down,
like the
kneel,
army.
Yeah, turn around. Look up, yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. All right. 'Tis the season. All right. Well, hey,
exhausting.
we have run kind of long here today, but I want to make sure I got everybody's questions in that we got in here today, and we did. And David, Tom is very proud of being a vegetarian. You don't worry, he's good with that. So he was a little concerned that you were apologizing for your food here. So, but anyway.
No, everybody has to eat what they feel is good for them. Listen to your body. Your body will tell you what's right for you. And if people would do that, we'd have a lot less disease in this country, maybe some more, who knows. But listen to your body.
Well, I tell you what, I listened to mine. And no, I'm just saying, I listened to mine. Yeah. And some people, it's an easier job. But no, and I did back in January 20th, just wrapping up here, that I started doing this intermittent fasting thing, fasting every other day or 3 or 4 days a week. And I dropped 22 pounds. So it can be done.
Well,
and you got to do it.
And
Take care of yourself.
I dropped 35 a different way. See, our bodies are all different. Everybody's got to do what's best for their body.
Exactly.
But you look great, Charlie. My Sandra,
Yeah.
she said you're losing weight, so she can tell on camera.
That's it. I want to stay fit so I can chase Sandy around the house till we're very old. So there you go. You got a question? You want to get it on this
I'm better
program?
at hiding, but okay.
Yeah. Well, that's not really the objective of the game, Tom. Anyway.
I haven't figured it out.
All right. You got to get your question on with us here. All you got to do is go homeshowradio.com, click on that blue Ask Tom button right there, and it'll take you to this page. You can fill it out, send in your questions, and we will put them in here. We'll use them here, or Tom records an Ask Tom question and answer video, and we put a new one up every day at homeshowradio.com, our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and all that. And, of course, Tom will be out live in person this weekend at the Lake Houston Outdoor Living Show at the Humboldt Convention Center. And Tony, if you're watching, I did that all by memory. But Tom will be out there answering. And if you got questions, old Chad man's going to set up a microphone because he's got to be a distance from you now. He's only gotten one shot. And you want to be careful with Tom. And he'll answer questions for you when he's not on the radio. So anyway, so that's going to be this weekend.
And I got to warn everybody, I'm gonna look like a tree. It's my weekend to serve. My lieutenant let me off for the home show. I'm running over from our drill weekend. I'll be in my uniform for the Texas State Guard. So don't be surprised. I won't be in blue. You know, Danny was talking about green. We should put him in camo. He's the garden guy. He would look good looking like a tree.
Now, you see, when you said you're wearing green, I was thinking that maybe this was a byproduct of you being a vegetarian. So
no, OCP. I will look like a tree.
Okay.
We call them OCPs. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, and you can go see him there. Go see Tom in his fatigues. He'd love to see you on Saturday only, because Sunday he's going to be out working out with the Guard. And remember, before Tom, it's Home Show Garden Pros with Danny and the Garden Pros on Sports Radio 610. But on Saturday and Sunday, it's the man.
Yeah, and Danny's going to be at the home show too, by the way, I've been told. I'm not sure what time.
Yep.
But I'm on Saturday, 9 to 11. This Saturday, usually 9 to 12 on most Saturdays, because we have basketball going on and I'm on a sports station. And, of course, 8 to 11, Charlie will be on the first half hour with me. on Sunday. So please tune in.
Little thing we call early edition. And we answer more of your questions. We get so many of your questions, and Tom and I want to make sure that you get the help you need, and everybody. We want to make sure everyone is served, and so we do that on Sunday morning. So that's the deal. So, well, Tom, thanks for being here. Thank you for being out there, and we will see you again next Thursday at 4:00 over most of this same social media.
Got a question? Ask Tom on Home Show Radio. Home Show Radio. Free advice from a pro who